Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Shuklam Baradaram Vishnum Sasivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vighnopashantaye Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnur Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gurur Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Gurave Sarvalokana Bhishaje Bhavarogina Nidhaye Sarva Vidyanam Shri Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpada Shankaram Lokashankaram Apara Karuna Sindhum Jnanadam Shantarupinam Shri Chandrasekharendra Gurum Pranamami Mudanvaham Sadguru Charanarvindabhyan Namaha Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. In Vivekachudamani, we are seeing this very important topic of Panchakosha Viveka. The body, the body, when I say along with the mind, etc., is divided into 5 koshas or 5 coverings or 5 sheets, and Acharya is negating according to Upanishad, in line with Upanishads, in line with Vedantic teaching. Acharya, the Guru, is talking about each and every kosha, and he negates each and every kosha as Atma. He takes up Annamaya Kosha. He say, okay, this is what is Annamaya Kosha, but this is not Atma. This is what is Pranamaya Kosha. This is not Atma. This is what is Manomaya Kosha. This is what is Vijnanamaya Kosha. This is what is Anandamaya Kosha. And all of these things are not Atma. Atma, when I say, please don't imagine some other thing. Atma is my own self. Am I Annamaya Kosha? No. Am I Pranamaya Kosha? No. Am I Manomaya Kosha? Am I Vijnanamaya Kosha? Am I Anandamaya Kosha? No, no, and no. Then who am I? I am that entity which operates through all these panchakoshas. That is what Acharya is going to call it as Atma, my own self. Now, Manomaya Kosha is a very important topic and a lot needs to be discussed. So, let us see why Acharya is saying Manomaya Kosha is not my real I. What are the benefits of objectification of our mind? When I say our Manomaya Kosha, our mind is not Atma. Atma is the subject. When I say the Manomaya Kosha, the mind is not the subject, then it is an object. What are the features? What are the advantages of objectification of our mind? It's a very interesting topic, because now we think about, we speak about emotional quotient, etc. Just like how we used to have intelligent quotient IQ, the emotional quotient EQ plays a very important role even in our secular career. And understanding that our mind is an object helps us not only for our spiritual improvement, but also for our improvement among society, improvement in family relationships, and improvement in our career as well. So it is absolutely essential to understand that mind and its modifications, all of them are object. Just like how we have understood that our body and its modifications all are objects. My body is here. My nail is growing from my hand. That is a modification to my body. My hair color changes over years. That is a modification to my body. My physical strength decreases over time. That is a modification to my body. And we understand that all these modifications are just modifications to my body, but they don't have any change. They don't make any change onto me. It better does not change any change onto me, because the same person who I was when I was 5 year old, I am that same person. Because my body has modified, just because my body has changed, obviously I don't look like a 5 year old. So my body has undergone a lot of change. But just because my body has undergone a lot of change, it does not mean me, the Atma who operates through the body, has changed. No, I have not changed. I remain as it is. My body has seen increases. My body has seen decreases in weight, etc., etc., etc. But as Atma, as the ever unchanging subject, I remain constant. Just like how we have that clear vision, we need to understand that my mind is also an object, and more importantly, all my modifications to my mind is also an object. Modifications only belong to my mind, it does not belong to me. That has to be clear. What is the modification of my mind? Modification of my body I can easily understand. What is the modification of my mind? Manovritti, all the pleasure and pain. Raga means pleasure, and dvesha means pain. Sukha means pleasure. Dukkha means pain. All the pleasure and pain are the modifications of our mind according to Shastra. These are called as manovrittayaha or chitta vrittayaha. All the emotions that we have, all of those things are chitta vrittayaha or mano vrittayaha, modifications of my mind. If we understand that our mind itself is an object, then all the sukham dukkham, we have to understand them as an object as well. It does not matter whether my mind enjoys sukham. It does not matter whether my mind enjoys sukham or dukkham. I, as the subject, does not undergo any change. That has to be very, very clear. Now, the person can ask another question. Okay, but how to handle those unpleasant objects? How to handle those unpleasant people that are surrounding me? How to handle those unpleasant situations that are surrounding me? It is a very legitimate question. If I say, hey, your mind is only an object, you don't have to worry about it. But I feel agitated. But I like to be around, in certain people's company. I hate to be around in another people's company. I feel so happy under some situations. I absolutely hate it when I am in some other situations. So, how to take that if I objectively treat my mind, how to handle those situations? The question arises, and Bhagavan Krishna gives the answer early in Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita, if we read it, it is all about mind engineering. How to handle your mind. Bhagavad Gita, it's all about mind handling, mind engineering. So let us see. Krishna says, Matras Parushastu Kaunteya Sitoshna Sukhadukkhadaha Agama Payinaha Anityaha Tam Titikshasva Bharata. Hey Arjuna, if you have a sense organ, Previously, we have seen our mind is like that fire, our mind is like that homakunda, onto which all the sense organs provide fuel. That is what is the simile we have seen, right? So here Krishna says, whatever sense organs you have, they always are going to be experiencing something. They always are going to experience something. What do they experience? They either experience happiness or they experience sad. They experience sukha or they experience dukkha. Or they experience cold, which is pleasure. They experience very, very hot, which is going to be painful. But Krishna says, all those are agama payinaha. They are not going to be permanent, Arjuna. They are temporary. They are anityaha. Agama payinaha anityaha. They are not permanent. They are only transient in nature. How to understand transient nature and permanent nature? We have fire and heat as an example. If I have fire, what about the heat? What about the hotness that comes along with the fire? Hotness or heat is a permanent property of the fire. It does not matter whether I touch the fire. It does not matter whether somebody else touches the fire. Fire is going to be hot. It does not matter whether today I touch the fire or yesterday I touched the fire or day after tomorrow I will touch the fire. Fire was hot. Fire is hot. Fire will always be going to be hot. So it does not matter when I touched the fire. It does not matter who touched the fire. Fire is going to be hot. Whether I made fire on purpose or whether it is an accident. In Homakunda, I make that fire. I grow that fire. Even if I touch that fire, it is going to be hot. Or if there is a fire accident somewhere, it is completely unintentional. I hate that fire. Even if I touch that fire, fire is going to be hot. So all the time, for all the people, whether it is intentional or not, fire is going to be hot. So hot or heatness is an permanent property of that fire. We have to understand this nicely. So a permanent property of something we cannot change. We cannot take fire and just remove heatness from the fire. It is physically not possible. We cannot change that. But pleasure and pain, they are not permanent property of any object. How? Let us take our favorite gulab jamun as an example. I like gulab jamun, but somebody else will not like gulab jamun. Somebody else will say they hate gulab jamun. So there is a difference between who eats the gulab jamun in order for gulab jamun to be either painful or for the gulab jamun to give pleasure. So it is with reference to an object. Let us take bitter gourd for an example. I hate bitter gourd because it is going to be so much bitter. For the other person, the bitter gourd is still going to be bitter. The bitterness of the bitter gourd does not change. But I hate that bitter gourd, but somebody else is going to like that bitter gourd. Today I hate that bitter gourd. Tomorrow I will like that bitter gourd. Yesterday somebody hated the gulab jamun. Day after tomorrow, the same person is going to like that gulab jamun. See, for heat, fire and heat example, heat did not change between person to person. Heat did not change between time. Either present tense or past tense or future tense, it did not change. So we told that heat is a permanent property of that fire. But pleasure and pain, sukha and dukkha, is not a permanent property of any object. It is not a permanent property of any person. It is not a permanent property of any situation. I hate I hate this person, but that person's family is going to love that person, right? I hate that person today, but tomorrow I'm going to change my opinion about that person. Like that, I hate a situation today. Tomorrow, I am going to love the same situation. If somebody is beating me, I hate that situation. But the person who is beating me is going to love that situation. That is why he is going to beat me, right? So, situation, person, object, whether we hate them or whether we love them, it is not constant. It is going to be temporary. It is going to be transient in nature. That is what Krishna says, Agama Payinaha. Agama Payinaha means vandu vandu poradu. The property of heatness is not Agama Payinaha for fire. The property that is heat does not come and go to fire. The property of heat is going to be ever present with the fire. But the property, whether I like a situation, a person, or an object, or I hate a situation or a person or an object, it is agama payinaha. It is going to come and go. Sometime I'm going to like it. Sometime I'm going to hate it. It is going to come and go, and it is also anityaha. Krishna says, not that that person is going to be with you all the time. He is going to give you hard time now and he is going to disappear. That object, you are going to hate it, and sometimes, just like everything else, that object is also going to have an end date. So these two words we have to remember in any unpleasant situation with any unpleasant object or person. Pleasant situation, pleasant person, pleasant object, we absolutely have no problem. But even with those pleasant things as well, we have to remember these things. But now let us see those unpleasant object, unpleasant person, unpleasant situations. One is agamapayinaha, second is anityaha. So it is going to be transient in nature, and the hateness is not an intrinsic property of that object, person, or situation. Now we have understood that. Now that we have understood this point, then we have to extend the situation. What? We can train our mind, because it is not a permanent thing. We cannot take heatness from the fire and we cannot give coldness to the fire, because heat is a permanent property of the fire. But because pleasure and pain, because joy and sorrow, it is a temporary property, we can train our mind to like those objects. We can train our mind to like those person. We can train our mind to like those unpleasant situations. That is very, very important. And that is why I am telling you all these things, because all these things are chitta vritti or mano vritti. All these things are modifications of our mind, and we all have these problems. If I am sad, I will make people surrounding me, I will make the lives of people surrounding me sad as well. If I am angry, it is not going to stop with me, but it is also going to spread to all those unintended person. Collateral damage is going to be happen when I am sad or when I am angry. If we follow this advice from Bhagavad Gita, this advice from Krishna, agamapayinaha anityaha. When Krishna says, okay, it is going to come now, it is going to go later. Okay, let us come back to our original discussion of training our mind. I don't like bitter God. Bitter God is bitter for me. Bitter God is bitter for the other person as well. Bitterness is an intrinsic property or permanent property of bitter God. That bitter God is bitter, I cannot change. But what I can change, whether I like eating bitter God or not, or whether I am indifferent at least to eating bitter God or not, that is in my hand. I cannot change the bitterness of the bitter God, but what I can change, I can change whether I like to be in that situation or not. Some situations are very, very bad. Some people are very, very bad. Some objects are very, very bad. I cannot change badness in all those people. But what I can change, I can either try to try to like them, even if I don't like those object, people, or situation. What I can do, I can at least be indifferent to those objects, people, or situation. If I try to like them, if I eventually like them, it is well and good. Even if I don't like them, even if I am indifferent to all those things, it is good for me, and moreover it is good for people that are surrounding me as well. How, I used to hate bitter God, but some person who I really like, some person who I really admire, they come and say, hey, eat this bitter God, it is good for you. So gradually, I train my mind to like something which I used to hate. I used to hate that person, but a common friend of that person, he came and told me about that person. Hey, 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 you have misunderstood that person. That person is not bad at all. I train my mind to eventually like that person, right? In the same way, any object, any person, and more importantly, any situation, even if I don't like them, even if they are painful, some objects are painful, some people are painful, some situations are painful, we don't disagree at all. A situation can be painful, but we can train our mind to either like those situations, person, or object, or at least be indifferent to those situations, persons, or objects, so that the presence of the situation, persons, or objects, it is not going to disturb me, the Atman. That we have to be absolutely clear, because Krishna is going to say later that who is a real bhakta. Krishna is going to, maybe we'll see that first and then we will come back to the next topic. Krishna says equanimity of a mind. Equanimity of mind is a very important qualification of a bhakta, says Krishna. There is a chapter in Bhagavad Gita called as Bhakti Yoga. It is chapter number 12. Normally, what we think, who is a real bhakta? Who is a bhakta? If somebody asks, a common answer that we all think is that a bhakta is some person who does a lot of puja, who is ever engaged in spiritual activity, who spends a lot of money, to Bhagavan. Normally, we think that only those people are bhakta and only Bhagavan is going to like those people. If I buy 500 rupees ticket, I can go very, very near to Bhagavan because Bhagavan likes money. If I can only afford 5 rupees ticket, then I have to stay 500 meters or 100 meters away from Bhagavan, and Bhagavan will only glance me. He is not going to fulfill all my wishes. That is what we normally think. But we have to ask Bhagavan, hey Bhagavan, who do you really like, right? So Krishna himself says, Krishna saying in Bhagavad Gita, who are those people which Krishna likes the most. Krishna says, it comes in Bhakti Yoga, chapter number 12 in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says, Yona Hrishyati Nadveshti, Nashochati na Kankshati, Shubha Shubha Parityagi, Bhaktiman Yas Same Priyaha. Hey Arjuna, the one who does not be overly happy just because you achieved something, who is not overly happy, na hrishyati, na dveshti. Just because something is not working out for him, the person who does not hate as well, the person who is not so much happy, the person who is not so much sad, na shochati, na kankshati. The person who is not be grieving, and the person who does not have any desire. In Tirukkural, Tiruvalluvar says, வேண்டுதல் வேண்டாமை இலான் அடி சேர்ந்தார்க்கு. The one who does not have வேண்டுதல் and வேண்டாமை, kama and krodha, sukha and dukkha. That is what Krishna says. Yona hrishyati na dveshti, na shochati na kankshati, Shubha, Ashubha, Parityagi. The one who is indifferent to Shubha, auspicious things in his life, and inauspicious things in his life. Meaning what? The person who treats all these things as the same thing, who has equanimity of mind to any situation, because any situation is going to give me happiness or it is going to give me sadness. It is going to be auspicious for me. It is whether I like it or whether I hate it. It is going to be duality, right? The person who has grown above all those duality, bhaktiman, that person is called as bhaktiman. That person is a real bhakta. Krishna does not stop with that. Krishna says, Saha me priyaha. I like that person a lot, Arjuna. Not that person who gets $500 ticket, not that person who is donating $20,000 to a temple, not that person who does 2 hours puja daily. I like all those people. It is not I'm not going to hate all those people, but all these people who has an equanimous mind, they are going to be my dear ones. We say near and dear, right? These people are going to be near and dear to none other than Bhagavan himself. The next shloka he says, Shamashatraucha mitrecha tatha manapamanayoho shitoshna sukha dukkeshu samasanga vivarjitaha. I told 3 entities, right? A person, an object, or a situation, right? So here Krishna lists all those things. Samaha Shatraucha Mitrecha. A person can be your friend and a person can be your enemy. Meaning whether you like a person or you don't like that person. Those people who treat their friend and enemy, Shatraucha Mitrecha Shama Samaha. That person who treats the friend and the enemy as the same, Tatha Manapamanayoho. A situation can give you gauravam. A situation can add gauravam to you, or the situation be humiliating experience for you. These are the 2 types of situation. Whether somebody is going to praise you, that is like a gauravamana situation, or somebody is going to scold you, it is going to be a humiliating situation for you. It is going to be your family, it is going to be your friend, or it is going to be some public in a bus stop or in an airplane. Tata mana apamanayoho. The one who treats mana and apamana, honor, mana and apamana, humiliating experience or disgraceful experience, as the same. So these are with reference to all the experiences. Shitoshna sukhadukeshu. The one who treats Sita and Ushna and Sukha and Dukha. An object can give you Sukha, an object can give you Dukha. An object can give you happiness. Nice Sugandha flower, smell of a nice flower. A flower is going to give happiness for my nose. On the other hand, if something is smelling so bad, I'm not going to be so happy around it, right? So an object can be Sukha or Dukha, Sita or Ushna, all those people, Samaha Sangha Vivarjitaha. He continues, he does not stop with that. That shloka is continuing over, is spilling over to the next shloka as well. Tulya ninda stutir mauni santushto yena kenachit अनिकेत स्थिरमतिः भक्तिमान में प्रियो नरः तुल्य निंदा स्थितो मौनिः तुल्य निंदा स्तुतिर मौनिः तुल्य निंदा and stuti. Ninda, a person is abusing me. Verbal abusement is called as ninda. A person is scolding me. Ninda. And stuti, a person is singing my praise. Tulya means same. The person who treats ninda, abusement, and stuti means praise, or the person who treats all those things, santushto yena kenachit. Yena kenachit, whatever I get, I be happy. Whatever I get, it is Bhagavat Prasadam. I go to temple in Margari Masam. I wake up 4 o'clock in the morning. I do Vidhi Bhajanai 7 o'clock. I get that spoonful of Venpongal, nice piping hot Venpongal in a donnai, and I put that in my mouth. I get that peppercorn or I get that ginger piece. I am not going to spit that. It is going to be so nice for me because it is Bhagavan's prasada, right? So, yena kena chitu santushtaha. Whatever I get, be happy, be grateful. Aniketa sthiramatihi bhaktiman me priyo naraha. Those people, who are those people? Shamashatraucha mitrecha, the one who treats his friend and foe as the same. Tata mana apamanayoho, the one who treats humiliating situations and desirable situations as the same. Sitoshna sukha dukkeshu, the one who treats pain and pleasure as the same. Tulya ninda stutirmoni, the one who treats praise and censure as the same. Those people are bhaktiman, me priyo naraha. Those people are real bhaktiman. Why they are real bhaktiman? Because they take whatever situation that comes to them as Bhagavat Prasada. That is why Krishna calls them as real bhaktiman. He does not stop with calling them as real bhaktiman. He says, Me priyo naraha. Those people I like the most. It does not matter whether they like me or not, but I like them most, says Krishna. That much importance is given for equanimity of mind in our Shastra, because Krishna know that emotional quotient is very, very important. That is why he takes pain in explaining all those things. Now, one question comes. I understand all those things. This half an hour, 8:30 to 9, whatever I have heard, I have understand. I can even practice that from 9 p.m. until I go to sleep. But tomorrow morning when I wake up, I am back to square one. My mind is wavering. Chanchalaha, right? My mind is wavering. I understand all these things now. Next half an hour or until I go back to sleep, if somebody asks me to explain, I will explain to them. Even if my worst enemy comes to my house, I will offer them coffee, with good, in a good way. But tomorrow morning, if this thing happens, I get my BP shot up. What do I do? Krishna says in Gita again in chapter number 6. He says, Yato yato nischarati manas chanchalyamasthitam Tatastato niyam yetad atmanyeva vasham nayet, says Krishna. He acknowledges, he understands that yato nischarati. Whenever your mind is manas chanchalyam asthitam. Chanchalyam means like wavering here and there. Whenever your mind wavers here and there, what should I do? Tatastataha niyamyaitat atmanyeva vasham nayet. You have to lead your mind. Nayet means to lead. You have to lead your mind to be under your control. Tatastato niyamyetat ஆத்மன்யேவ வசம் நயேத்துங்கிறார். உன் வசப்படுத்து உன் மனதை. It has to be an active process. There is nothing wrong in having wavering mind. In fact, to waver is a property of the mind. If the mind does not waver, then there is a problem with your mind, says Krishna. Even if your mind wavers, even if you get angry, even if you feel sad, even if you feel sorrow for something, that is okay, but have an active process to bring your mind under control. Krishna says, and Arjuna again asks this question. Again, Arjuna asks, Chanchalam hi manak Krishna pramathi balavadridam tasyaham nigraham manye vayoriva sudushkaram. Arjuna says, just like how how mega, how these clouds are there, and then if a storm is coming, all those clouds will be dispersed by the storm, right? Like my manas is as light as that cloud, and if any unfavorable situation hits my mind, then my mind, equanimity of my mind, tranquility of my mind, they all go just like this, says Arjuna. What should I do about it? Asks Arjuna. And Krishna says, Asamshayam Mahabaho Mano Durnigraham Chalam. Hey Arjuna, you are 100% right. Asamshayam, there is no doubt about it. Mahabaho refers to Arjuna. Manaha Durnigraham Chalam. Manaha is Chalam. Mind is going to waver. And Durnigraham, mind is going to be very, very, very hard to master. Hey Arjuna, I understand that. I concur with you. But what should you do? Abhyasene tu kaunteya vairagyena cha grihyate. You get hold of your mind by practice, says Krishna to Arjuna. Abhyasena. Abhyasa means practice. You put yourself in those unfavorable situations. Even if you have all those unfavorable situations, practice all these things. Don't make Vedanta study just for half an hour in week, but practice what you study. Karka, Kasadara, Karpavai Katrapin, Nirka Adarkuttaha, says Thiruvalluvar. Whatever you study, you have to study without any doubt, but don't stop with just studying. Nirka adarkuttaga. Practice what you study, says Thiruvalluvar. Same thing Krishna says, Abhyasene tu kaunteya grihyate. You get hold of your mind by practicing all these things. How to practice? Maybe next day, tomorrow, or today, we can list whatever unfavorable things that has happened to today. Whatever things I got angry for A, B, C, D, E. We will start with unfavorable. We have to extend this to favorable situations as well. There is absolutely no question about it. But let us start with unfavorable situation because it has a direct influence on our mind, because it has a lot of implications for our day-to-day life, for our career growth as well. From today morning, I became sad for A, B, C, D, E. I hated E, F, G, H, I. And like that, all these X, Y, Z gave pain to me. List all those things and do dosha darshanam for all those things. Why did I hate that? Hate is not a permanent property of those objects, people, or situation. It is I means what? My mind. It is my mind who hates those things. Just like how I can train my mind to eat bitter gourd, in the same way I can train my mind to like those people. I can train my mind to like those objects. I can train my mind to like those situations. And tomorrow, meet the same person, object, or situation and try to like those person, object, or situation. This is what Krishna says as Abhyasene to Kaunteya. By doing this, we are doing two things. One, for our secular lifestyle, one for our day to day life, we are going to be much more happy. And two, for our spiritual progress, we are also objectifying our mind. We are training ourselves to see our mind as an object. So, whatever happens to my computer, I am okay with it. In the same way, whatever happens to my mind, I am okay with it as well. So these two things we can achieve by doing this practice. Abhyasene tu kaunteya vairagyena cha grihyate. With this, we will finish today's class. Purnamadah purnamidam purnad purnamudachyate purnasya purnamadaya purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.